Emily Thompson was the very picture of hope in Willow. Springs at just 28 years old, her kindness lit up the classrooms where she taught children to dream big and believe in the future. Her marriage to Jack Carter was, in everyone's eyes, living proof of a perfect love. Jack, with his commanding presence, ran the auto shop he had inherited from his father and seemed to be a man of respect and responsibility, the kind of husband any woman would dream of having. But as in every good drama, the smiles on the surface concealed cracks that only Emily was beginning to notice. The morning Emily discovered she was pregnant felt like a ray of sunshine breaking through a storm. She felt a wave of happiness as she imagined Jack holding their baby in his arms, laughing. With pride, this will change everything. She thought maybe Jack was just overwhelmed with work at the shop, and the baby would bring a breath of fresh life into their relationship. Emily decided she would share the news that very night, preparing a special dinner. To celebrate the start of this new chapter, Emily spent the entire day pouring her heart into the dinner, choosing Jack's favorite dishes: smoked ribs with barbecue sauce and cinnamon. Apple pie. The table was immaculate, decorated with wildflowers she had picked herself. That morning she slipped into a simple yet elegant blue dress and looked at herself in the mirror, trying to ignore the shadows of worry in her own eyes. "He's going to be happy," she repeated to herself like a mantra. Jack walked through the door as a shadow of the man Emily once knew. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, and he didn't even bother to take off his dirty shoes before stepping onto the pristine carpet. His shoulders were slumped, and his eyes, those eyes she had once loved, now seemed as cold as a winter night. Emily greeted him with a hesitant smile, but he only mumbled something unintelligible, avoiding eye contact. She felt a tightness in her chest. Something was wrong, very wrong, as they ate. Emily tried to make conversation, but Jack responded with monosyllables with every attempt she made. To connect, he seemed to pull further away until finally she couldn't take it anymore. "Jack, what's going on? You barely look at me these days." The question hung in the air like a threat, but Emily wasn't prepared for the answer. He set his fork down on the table, sighing deeply, as if on the verge of exploding. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you. I can't keep going like this." She froze, feeling her blood run cold. "Like what?" she murmured, trying to stay calm. I met someone else." The words hit like a punch to the stomach, what Emily's voice nearly gave out. She stared at him, waiting for him to say it was a mistake, a cruel joke, but Jack continued. "Relentless, I'm with Samantha Hayes. I love her, Emily, and I'm leaving." The silence that followed was deafening. Emily, stunned, could barely breathe. Her head spun, the food in her stomach suddenly unbearably heavy. "Jack, how could you?" Her words came out in a trembling whisper laden with pain. Jack looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "I'm sorry, Emily, but this is how it has to be." He stood up, grabbed his car keys, and left, leaving Emily alone in the crushing silence of the house they had once called home. The wildflowers on the table seemed to wilt before her eyes, just like her dreams of a future together. Emily sat there for hours, staring into the void, until at last she placed a hand on her belly. There lay her only reason to keep moving forward. "No matter what happens," she whispered to herself, tears streaming down her face, "I'll protect you. I'll give you all the love he took from us." "Did you like this first part of the story? Tell us which city you are following. We want to know how far this exciting novel is going." Life in Willow Springs had never been so turbulent. The small town, where everyone knew everyone, was abuzz with rumors about the scandal involving Jack Carter, now seen alongside Samantha Hayes and the wife he had abandoned, Emily Thompson, pregnant and alone. Jack and Samantha didn't seem to care about the whispers or disapproving glances. On the contrary, they seemed to thrive on them. Samantha always, with a cycle smile on her face, made it a point to parade arm in arm with Jack through the streets, at cafes, and even at church events where the whole community gathered. To many, it was a brazen affront. To Emily, it was daily torment. 5 months pregnant, Emily lived through seemingly endless anguish. Jack's betrayal was hard enough to bear, but the disdain from some people in town made it all the more unbearable. Samantha, with her talent for manipulation, had spread rumors that Emily was to blame for the marriage's collapse, insinuating that she had neglected Jack, or that the pregnancy was a desperate attempt to trap him. The gossip spread like wildfire. Now, when Emily walked through town, she could feel the judging eyes on her. Whispers followed her, and sometimes cruel words were spoken just loud enough for her to hear. "It's a shame she still shows her face around here," one woman remarked at the market, pretending not to notice Emily nearby. Jack deserved better than her, despite the pain. Emily tried to hold her head high. She knew that even surrounded by uncertainty, she had to be strong for her daughter. The days were lonely, but she found comfort in small acts of kindness. That was how Ryan Miller came back into her life. Ryan, a childhood friend of Emily's, was now the town doctor, tall with a calming smile and warm eyes. He had always been a reassuring presence to everyone in Willow Springs. When he heard about Emily's situation, Ryan decided to help her in any way he could. He visited her regularly, making sure she was well, both physical and emotional. "You don't have to go through to this alone," he told her. During one of his visits, gently holding her hands, "You're so much stronger than you realize, Emily." Those words had the power to soothe the storm of emotions within her over time. Ryan's presence became a cornerstone for Emily. He accompanied her to prenatal appointments, brought her fresh fruits to help with her nutrition, and even encouraged her to start a small sewing project that kept her busy and helped supplement her income. Ryan didn't just care for Emily as a doctor. He supported her as a loyal friend, someone who believed in her ability to rise again, even in the face of the most challenging circumstances. Meanwhile, Samantha continued manipulating Jack with frightening skill. She had convinced him that maintaining any contact with Emily would be dangerous for their new life together. "You need to cut all ties with her," Samantha would say with cold eyes. She just wants to drag you back into that mediocre past. You two had Jack completely under her spell. Accepted Samantha's lies as gospel. He stopped replying to Emily's messages and began ignoring her calls. Worse yet, Samantha persuaded him to dodge his financial responsibilities, claiming that he shouldn't have to support someone who was taking advantage of him. Emily, however, knew she couldn't expect anything from Jack. Each day was a battle, but she refused to let bitterness consume her. She decided to focus on what she could control, building a future for her daughter. She began sewing small pieces of clothing to sell, and with Ryan's guidance, she learned to better manage her finances. Every step she took was a step away from the past and a move toward a new life. On a hot summer afternoon, Emily walked through the town square, feeling the soft kicks of her baby in her belly, as if the little one were giving her strength as she passed by. At cafe, she saw Jack and Samantha laughing together. Samantha noticing, Emily shot her a look full of disdain and grabbed Jack's face, kissing him theatrically, making sure Emily saw. Emily paused for a moment, feeling the familiar ache threaten to resurface. But then she placed her hand on her belly and took a deep breath, without hesitation. She kept walking. The scene seemed to hurt less now. It was as if the love she felt for her daughter was beginning to fill the void Jack had left behind when she arrived. Home, Ryan was waiting on the porch with a bag of groceries and that smile that always brought her peace. "I thought you might need a healthy dinner after a long day," he said as he stepped inside with her. Emily smiled. For the first time in months, she felt like there was light at the end of the tunnel. Despite everything she had lost, there was still kindness in the world, and most importantly, there was still hope. Jack Carter was living a dream that was slowly beginning to unravel, even if he couldn't see it. Yet ever since he had left Emily to be with Samantha Hayes, he believed he was living the life he deserved, free in love and with a vibrant woman who seemed it fascinated him. She made him feel important, as if he were a man destined for greater things. But behind her captivating smile and sparkling eyes, Samantha hid secrets as dark as her ambitions. The first signs that something was wrong began to appear when Jack noticed discrepancies in his bank statements. Large sums of money were vanishing from his account, and Samantha always had a ready explanation. "Just investments, Jack," she'd say, with a seductive smile. "You'll thank me when we see the profits." Trusting her blindly, he didn't question it. She seemed so self-assured that it was hard to doubt her intentions, but the doubts began to grow, fed by small details he couldn't ignore. One night while Samantha was in the shower, Jack noticed her phone vibrating on the table. It was a message from an unknown number. He didn't usually snoop through her things, but something about that night felt different, as if an inner voice was urging him to uncover the truth. When he unlocked the phone, what he found left him stunned. Detailed messages about financial transactions and clear mentions of his name being used to finalize fraudulent real estate sales. Samantha had been profiting from illegal schemes while making Jack the face of it all. In an instant, the illusion of happiness shattered. Samantha's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was professional. He knew that if this were discovered, he would be the one held responsible for those transactions. Jack confronted Samantha as soon as she stepped out of the shower, still wrapped in her luxurious robe, and showed her the messages on her phone. "What is this, Samantha? You're using my name to commit crimes rather than deny or apologize." Samantha laughed, a cold, cruel laugh that made Jack's stomach turn. "Oh, "Jack, did you really think I was with you for love?" she said, crossing her arms and looking at him as if he were naive. "You're a simple man, Jack. A man who inherited some money and a garage but never had the ambition. To use them wisely, I did this for us. Well, for me, really." Jack felt as though the ground was crumbling beneath him. "I gave you everything, Samantha. I destroyed my life for you," he shouted, his voice full of frustration and despair. "Don't blame me for your choices," she replied with a disdainful smirk. "You knew what you were doing when you chose me. I just did what was best for me, and now I'm leaving. Don't think I'm going to stick around to face the consequences." Samantha grabbed a suitcase already packed in the closet as if she'd been anticipating this moment, and walked out the door without looking back. Samantha's departure left Jack in ruins. Rumors about his illegal transactions spread quickly, and within weeks he lost everything. The garage was shut down due to lack of funds, his bank account was drained, and the friends he thought he lost everything. The garage was shut down due to lack of funds. His bank account was drained, and the friends he thought he had disappeared as soon as the scandal came to light. He became a man scorned. In Willow Springs, condemned to live with the weight of his choices. Meanwhile, Emily was facing her own moments of tension. Months of stress, judgment, and heartbreak were taking their toll now. 7 months pregnant, she began experiencing severe pain and contractions. While working at home, she knew something was wrong. Grabbing her phone, she called Ryan, who answered immediately and rushed to get her at the hospital. The situation was critical. Emily was in premature labor, and the complications were more serious than anyone had expected. Doctors rushed to stabilize both mother and baby as alarms echoed through the ward. Emily's heart pounded as she clutched Ryan's hand, fear clouding her usually calm eyes. Outside the delivery room, Ryan paced, silently praying for both of them to survive. Hours passed like years, until finally, a nurse emerged with cautious news. The baby, though premature, was alive, fragile but fighting. Emily, however, had lost a dangerous amount of blood and was in critical condition. Jack, hearing the news too late, arrived at the hospital overwhelmed with guilt and regret. As night fell over Willow Springs, 2 lives hung in the balance, bound by love, loss, and choices that could never be undone.